What do you have to deal with physically now?
A lot.
Really? I know
My
you broke
physio, my
you broke
physical
your back.
issues.
You broke your back. I remember your Taliban birthday present.
Yeah,
You got a piece of shrapnel.
I've had a share of injuries. I had my wrist and my hands. I'll I'll be sitting there and my hand will just start aching, and I'll have like holding onto something, and my thumb has so many issues. My thumb will stop working, and I get these twitches, and I just drop whatever I have. So if I have something fragile, I have something, you'll see me drop stuff, and I'm just like I just couldn't hold it. It just my hand didn't work. So that's both my hands, the arthritis and the aches. I have a
Hmm.
lot there. And my elbow, I blew that elbow. That's why it sticks way out. I hit here so hard, it broke my ulna. It's the radius and ulna. It
Right.
shoved up through my elbow, and so it sticks out still through the elbow.
How
But
did
it
you do that?
pushed it up through. It was a really big fall that happened in a country we shall not name. But it was like it was a hurt. I just taped it with rigorous tape and put it back in place.
Ooh.
And then I had like another one where it tore my shoulder out, did that, and my knees and did that. I broke that ankle somewhere else. I broke every finger in my hand, this rib. I fell through a roof in another country, and it hit air and it broke one of my ribs. And I climbed back up to the roof as my feet were dangling through the roof. So I'm going, eh. So that's another funny story.
Oh
The
my
cows.
God.
It was funny. But my body armor broke in that one when it cracked my body armor, broke some ribs and stuff.
And then you were falling off of a ship at that when you broke your back, right?
That was a shit fact. It didn't break it like the it wasn't like that bad of a break. It was
A fracture,
not total fractures. Yeah, it was a partial fractures.
partial
So it's a bunch of
fractures.
partial fractures that cracked everything up, but it
Hmm.
didn't totally, and it broke one of the cushioning, what do they call them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking
In your
about.
spine, you have I have black
Discs.
discs. So I have black discs and I have gray discs and I have white discs. The white ones that are healthy where the fluid is so good. The gray ones that the fluid is kind of disrupted, it starts getting hold. If the disc is black, in the X-ray you can see it. If the disc is black, that means basically all the fluid in there that gives it cushioning has
Hmm.
all turned solid, kind of. So it's just this. It's like more bone between bone.
Uh,
So I basically made a couple of black discs and I fractured a bunch of the bones. So I was still able to operate. I could still move around, but it's just really painful. So, because I was laying on the bottom of the boat and a bunch of the guys were kicking me as they were going past to get on the ladder. They were like, Beck, get up, let's go, man. They would kick me on the way out. And so I'm laying there getting kicked. And I'm like, damn, all right. And so I got up and I jumped on the ladder and I climbed up. And I was like, dude, stop kicking me. I'm going to get up. So I got up and I was like, that hurts. I don't know why that hurt so much,
oh my God.
but I climbed the ladder with like 40 or 50 pounds. I had a rucksack on with its, saws and stuff, all my ammunition and guns. So basically, it's like doing 30 pull-ups with 40 pounds, 50 pounds on your back with the broken bones.
So you're not able to use your feet when you're doing that?
Yeah, use your feet and your
Oh,
hands.
oh, okay, okay.
But basically, using your feet and your hands with all the weight on and you're getting up the ladder. But it's a lot of arms. To climb fast, use a lot of arms.
Right.
Because if you use all feet, you're not as fast. So basically, you're skipping up with just doing pull-ups. So you're just skipping up really fast, and you're only hooking basically just a little bit of your heel on the ladder. So
Mm.
your heel is barely catching, then you're just doing pull-ups, and your heels are going tick, 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 tick. So it's real quick. You can get up a ladder fast if you do it right.
Wow. It's been amazing hearing your story and the perspectives that you're able to give from your experiences. What is the message that you want to communicate to people, whether it be young people who maybe want to join the military or anyone in the world? What do you want your legacy to say about you, and how do you want it to help other people?
I mean, it's a huge question. I mean,
I know.
everybody has a legacy, but most people's legacies are forgotten one or two generations after they pass away. So what's anyone's legacy going to be? Is it going to be written down? Is it just like this, a little podcast that's in video? This is forever. This podcast, it's in bits and zeros. It's ones and zeros. It's bits and bytes. So this podcast is forever. The documentary film Lady Valor, which is about part of my life, is forever. That's part of my legacy. Part of my legacy is Mindful Valor Foundation, the nonprofit that I started. That's part of my legacy. I mean, that's what you have to consider, is that it's just like going up that ladder. So every rung of that ladder is part of your legacy. But is it the same, or is it building and you learn? So every time I make a mistake, I say, hey, I own it. This is what I want to do better. And that's a rung up. It's the staves of a ship. I wrote a book called The Book of Staves. So if you think about a rowboat, every part of that rowboat, those little the runners along, those are staves. And more staves you have, the higher up the gunnels, the higher up the sides of those boats go, so you can handle more and more harsh weather. So the more staves you have, the higher up the boat goes, so you can handle bigger and bigger seas. The staff is also the rung of a ladder. So if you're a kid, you're in grade school, you're building up a staff to play good with others. That's your first staff. It's play well. Then you get another staff. So your ladder gets more and more rungs, more and more staffs. So I have this thing called the Book of Staves. And staff number 1 is this. Staff 2 is this. Staff 3. And each one of these are lessons that I've learned in life. And it goes up to like staff 200. Are all these little things that I've learned, all these lessons that I've picked up. And these staffs put together make a pretty sturdy little boat that I can handle the harshness of the world's oceans. I can handle the harshness of the intellectual ocean, of the spiritual ocean, of the tough ocean. So if all you're doing is building staves of toughness, doing pull-ups and push-ups and waking up early in the morning, well, your boat is pretty weak in the other waters. You might be strong in the Erie, Lake Erie, but when you try to go to the Pacific, you're not going to be very strong because you never did a mental staves. You only did one set of staves. So your staves that you have and you build up your strength should be a combination of mental staves, of toughness staves, of weightlifting staves, of nutritional staves, of spiritual staves, of camaraderie staves, of colleague staves. Your staves should be so assorted and so diverse that you can survive in the oceans, in any ocean, in a lake, in a pond, on a stream, on a river. You can't just make a staff that survives the oceans. What are you going to do when you go in a river? So the Book of Staves is a combination of lessons. It's a combination of pearls of wisdom that I've learned over the years the hard way through stories and things that I know, because I learned it. So I'm going to give you a little story. This is how it happened. This is when I learned. So the Book of Staves is one of those kinds of books. So that's why we talked a lot about toughness, and I talk about the SEAL team training. You can get through SEAL team training if you're pretty mentally tough and you have a lot of physical strength. With some luck, you can get through. But there's other things you probably couldn't handle because you have no, like the intellectual or spiritual, or you have no compassionate staves to walk past something and see, you know what, that person really needs a hand. The captain of that ship, he had no compassion. He saw somebody and needed it. That person was in a hole and having a really tough time. And that captain did nothing more but dig that hole deeper and stuck that person deeper in a hole. And that person committed suicide. I would say that captain's one of the weakest people I've ever met in my life. His ship would never survive in the waters that I've navigated. He caused somebody to kill themselves. Now, when you think about your life and what your legacy is going to be, oh, you're a UFC fighter who freaking was super tough in a ring, and I won't name him, but you probably know the person. He's very notorious. He's a tough guy, man. He's notorious. And that guy is probably the biggest a-hole in the world. He has zero compassion. He has zero intellectual. He has zero spiritual, or very little of all the above. But the guy's a winner in UFC ring, but a loser with everything else. His legacy is onefold. His legacy is so single dimension, it's pretty weak. I want my legacy to be across all that. Doesn't need to be super deep in one or anything else, but I want it to be pretty broad. I want somebody to listen to me and they go, damn, intellectual, spiritual, pretty strong, made it through buds. Also thinks about stuff. Also admits to make mistakes. Also tries to be better and all that stuff. Wow. Okay, I get it.